What's up, folks? This is Chris Chastain. Um, I'm a writer for PSF. Of course, I'm a huge football fan. I, I'm a fan of basketball, but the other sports I'm not really a huge fan of. I love football. I analyze that for PSF, and of course, me and Eric record a podcast, the End Zone Podcast. On every Tuesday and Friday right now. I suggest you go check that out. That's a little bit about me, kind of pick choosing. But today is a very special video, or whatever you want to call it. The NFC wild card is so close between each other. It's not even funny. Like it's fun to watch. It's like I said, it's so close. Um, the Atlanta Falcons won tonight. Huge win versus the New Orleans Saints. They were not favored to win that game, according to the FBI. So today we're just going to kind of go over these things. I'm going to give you why I think one team has a chance, the best chance to win the first or second wild card. Both wild card positions are up for grabs because the Falcons, the Seahawks, and the Panthers all have 8 wins, and then the 6 wins versus others. You can pull off some upsets, have a team upset, and you're back in the thick of it for even that first positional wild card. And then, of course, the New Orleans Saints have not locked that division, the NFC South, up. So it's very interesting down the stretch. So we're just gonna go over. Right now, I'm leaving New Orleans out of this conversation. So we're gonna jump into the wild card contenders right now. And let's start with the Falcons because they've won their play tonight. Of course, if you didn't know, I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. I'm an Atlanta native, or if you want to call it a Georgia native. That is why I'm a Falcons fan. Not too much to say about that. I mean, it's kind of clear cut. I'm not a bandwagon fan by no means. Yeah, I know don't want to tell me about the Super Bowl collapse, 28-3. But let's dive into their last 3 games. Win versus New Orleans. They have 8 wins right now. At Tampa Bay next week, the FBI is giving them a 56% chance to win that game. However, I'm giving them a 75% chance to win it. I think they'll win that game. Given everything, with the projections of who's going to play, who's in, who's out, I'm picking the Falcons with a 75% chance to win that game. At New Orleans, the FBI gives them a 30% chance to win. I'm giving them a little higher. I'm saying they're going to have about a 40% chance to win that game, but I do think they're going to lose that football game. New Orleans will be too much. Plus, with the momentum of after losing tonight, New Orleans will be awake for that game. They'll be ready, and they're probably going to that'll win that division. That's a huge game. And of course, their last game of the season at home versus Carolina. The FBI gives them a 62% chance to win that game. I'm giving them a 55% chance. I think there's a little error there. I think that game's going to be a close game, but I think the Falcons pull it out, and their projected record's 10-6. Here is what's so huge that people don't think about. When you're saying you think this team's going to win get a wild card based off of one game or based off their current record, and you think they don't have a chance. You have to look at the past, and that is where this stat is critical. Wins versus contending wild card teams. I have it kind of worded differently on each one, so be aware. They beat the Cowboys, Green Bay Packers, and the Seattle Seahawks. That is critical when it comes down to it. Games left versus contenders. I know you see. I have the games listed, but New Orleans and Carolina, because that's a huge stat. The Falcons are 3-0 versus these teams. That is so critical when it comes down to the stretch. That is why that's that's why I think they have a pretty good chance of capturing the first or second wild card. But you got to have 10 wins to get that wild card. It's probably going to come if there's out of these three games, it's going to come down to the Carolina game. Of course, they lost to Tampa Bay. They'd have to win out the last two, but that 3-0 right now versus the contending teams, which you could put that 4-0 now if you want to consider New Orleans. But I'm saying wild cards. So 3 wins, critical. The most wins versus out of all these teams, so critical. The next team coming up, the Carolina Panthers, the team we just talked about. Similar boat, they're 8-4. They I'm just gonna get right into what my projections and the FBI projections are. Minnesota, they're playing Minnesota this weekend. The FBI is giving them a 53% chance to win that game. I'm not that high on it. I'm giving them a 47% chance to win that game. I think it'll come down to the defense, but I don't think I just haven't seen consistency out of Cam Newton, and we know how legit Minnesota's defense is. I am taking Minnesota in that game slightly, so I give them a 47% chance. It's going to be right in there between 47 and 49. I'm leaning towards 47 right now. The Green Bay Packers are playing them at home. The FBI is giving them a 69% chance to win that game. I'm not quite that high. I'm going 60% chance because we're of the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers was out, I would give them probably about a 80% chance to win that game. Carolina would win that game for sure. The next game is Tampa at home versus Tampa Bay again. The FBI is giving them a 72% chance to win that game. I'm not quite that high on that chance yet. I'm sticking to the 75% chance. Oh, did I say not too high? I am a little higher on. I'm not sold that the chances are quite that low. I would bump them up a little bit. I'd give them a 75% chance to win that game. Don't know what made me say. I'm not quite that high on them because I'm higher on them. But that's besides the point. And then the final game of the season at Atlanta. The FBI is giving them a 37% chance. I'm going 45%. I think that will be a tough game. I'm not going to get into that game though because we just talked about it. Projected finish, I have them finishing 10-6. Wins versus wild card contenders. This is a critical stat. At Detroit, and then they won versus Detroit, and then they won versus Atlanta. So they have 2 wins. They have 2 critical wins. That's a huge. Like I said, that's huge. And then games left versus contenders. 3 contenders of the 4. Green Bay, Atlanta, and Minnesota. That I'm not sure. If Aaron Rodgers plays, I would probably lower Carolina's chances in that game to probably 55-45. But with the uncertainty, I went up a little more. And the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers himself. I'm going 60. I like their chances in that game. The next team, the Seattle Seahawks. This is huge. This team, this may be why, in a minute we'll talk about it. This team may get left out. But let's get straight into the games. At Jacksonville, the FBI is giving them a 42% chance to win that game. I'm not there. I'm going 51% chance. I'm not there with Jacksonville. I don't see how. The only reason the FBI has them losing that game is because it's at Jacksonville. They're valuing that more. I'm giving them a 51% chance to win that game. This will be a very close game, but I'm giving them the nod over Jacksonville this weekend. They have a 66% chance to win versus the Los Angeles Rams, according to FBI. I'm giving them a 49% chance. I don't think they'll win that game. I think right now I'm picking the Rams too many injuries on the defense for Seattle. I know they looked good last week, but I'm not there yet. I'm taking the Rams in the projections right now. At Dallas, they given the Seahawks a 49% chance to win that game. I'm giving them a 51% chance to win that game. I'm just, eh, that's a toss up. That could be a pick 'em when it comes down to it, but I'm gonna project that the Dallas Cowboys win that game. And of course Arizona, the FBI is giving them a 86% chance to win that game. I'm higher on the Seahawks. I'm giving them a 95% chance to win that game. The projected finish is 10-6. But the huge stat: wins versus wild card contenders, none. Green Bay has beat them. Atlanta has beat them. Dallas could very well beat them the way this is going, and the Seahawks have no chance. The Dallas game is a must. I must emphasize, must win. It's a must win because if you lose that game, you're done. You're done. I mean, you have no chance. So I'm giving them a 10-6. Getting into our next team, the Dallas Cowboys. Speaking of, I'm not so high on them. At the New York Giants, the FBI is making it 50-50. It's literally 50% Giants, 50% Cowboys. I'm going 65% Cowboys. I'm pretty confident they'll win the football game. At Oakland, FBI gives them a 43%. I'm giving them a 55%. With the return of Zeke looming, I think they'll show up for the game. Sean Lee's back. Oakland, the Cowboys lose that game. At Seattle, or at home versus Seattle, we just talked about it. I'm giving the Seahawks the edge in that game. The FBI is giving them a 50% chance. I'm giving them a 49% chance of winning that game. I have them losing that game. And then, of course, at Philadelphia, the FBI only gives them a 20% chance to win that game. I'm giving them a 45% chance. The NFL is too close nowadays. You have Zeke, Sean Lee, Tyron Smith, and all of them back. Zeke Elliott. I'm giving them at least a 45% chance to win that game. They might pull off that upset, but I don't think in the end, I don't think it'll matter. Of course, the Seattle game's what it's going to come down to. The Seattle and Philly game, because if you lose the first two, you're done. If you lose any more games, you're done. You have to win out. You go 10-6. I'm projecting them to go 8-8. Wins versus wildcard contenders right now. And of course, when I say wildcard contenders wins, I mean right now they have no wins versus wildcard contenders, which is huge when it comes down to it. And then games versus contenders. This is any contender for either AFC or NFC, so be aware, especially when we get this far. At Oakland, Seattle, and then Philadelphia. The reason I say contenders on either side, because that's a huge part of picking a game. You have to see, is that team contending for something? Is that team going to be playing for something? You have to factor that in when you're picking games and when you're giving projections, etc., etc. That's why I put Oakland and Philadelphia in there. Of course, Seattle for obvious reasons. Let's jump into our next team, the Green Bay Packers. Their final 4 games. At Cleveland, the FBI's only given them a 60% chance to win that game. I'm a little higher on them right now. I'm giving them a 90% chance to win that game. I'm pretty sure they'll win that football game, but this is a tough stretch. At Carolina, they're given a 31% chance, only a 31% chance to win that game. I'm guessing this would be without Aaron Rodgers. I'm giving them a 40% chance because of the possible Aaron Rodgers return. I don't think they'll win the game, by the way. But projecting that they'll have a higher percent chance to win the game because Aaron Rodgers will probably be back. Um, at home versus Minnesota, they're given a 42% chance. By them, either I'm projecting either A, the Carolina or the Green Bay Packers will be contending for something, or B, the Minnesota Vikings will be playing for nothing. That's why I'm giving the Packers a 48% chance to win that game, but I would still pick them to lose if it were today. That's why I'm projecting a 48% chance. I think it'll be close. I think that the line should be within five, or the percentage should be within five points. I guess is what you want to call it. And then at Detroit, this is a sneaky one. The FBI is giving the Packers a 41% chance to win that game. I'm going to give them a 30% chance to win that game. I think by then they lost to Minnesota. They're already done. Detroit may be playing for something, that makes a difference to me. That's why I'm giving them a 30% chance to lose that game. I like Detroit's chances. Projected record 7-9. I don't think they'll contend. They'll probably go 8-8 because I see them winning one of those three games. But right now I wouldn't project it because of all the recipes right now, everything, all the ingredients, and their wins versus wildcard contenders, which could come huge if for some reason they were to go 4-0 and go finish 10-6. Their wins are versus Dallas and Seattle, which is huge, but your games left versus the contenders. We're at Carolina, at home versus Minnesota, and then at Detroit. So you're basically done, in my opinion. I don't like their chances. And then, of course, the final contender, or at least in my opinion, the final contender. Of course, Washington's there, but I don't think they're contenders at this point. Excuse me. Even going 9-7, even if you won out, I don't think you're there. So that's why I have the Detroit Lions here instead of another team. The final four games at Tampa Bay, FBI gives them a 40% chance to win the game. I think they'll win the game. I'm giving them a 55% chance to win that game. They're always fluky, something happens. Besides that, I think they're the better team. Excuse me. At home versus Chicago, excuse me. The FBI gets them a 78% chance to win the game. I'm giving them an 85% chance to win the game. To be honest, I don't think there's anything going to be stopping the Lions at this point in the season. That's why I'm giving them that big of a chance. Or I don't think there's anything to play for in Chicago's side. That, and I think Matt Stafford's a huge reason why I have them at 85%. That's why. The next game at Cincinnati. This is their playoff game. The FBI is giving them a 47% chance to win. I'm giving them a 47% chance to win. I think they'll be right there, but I don't think they're there yet. I'm favoring Cincinnati in that game. And then at home versus Green Bay, they're giving a 58% chance to win. I've given them a 70% chance, as we announced earlier. Projected finish for me is 9-7. But their wild card contender wins, there's not that many. They've lost these critical games. And their only win is versus Green Bay. Games left versus contenders. Cincinnati's kind of on the edge of outside. And then Green Bay is their final game, which could be playoff implications. So, all in all, we're going to jump back up. Contenders for me, I'm at one. I'm going to rank right now, based off of everything, projections and all. I'm giving Atlanta the one because of all their wins versus these teams. They have 3 huge wins, and then if they beat Carolina, I think they're a lock to get in. if they beat Tampa Bay. You can lose to New Orleans, but you can't lose to Carolina. You have to beat Carolina. Or, so if you lose to Tampa Bay, you have to beat New Orleans. I like their chances to beat Tampa Bay, so you can lose to New Orleans. At the 2 spot, I'm gonna give it to the Carolina Panthers. I think they're the next best team, to be honest. But their only thing is I think what it's gonna come down to. You have to beat Green Bay. You have to beat Tampa Bay, and you're probably in even if you lose to Atlanta. If you beat Atlanta, you're obviously a lock. At 3, I think picking the Seattle Seahawks is fair, to be honest, because I think they'll pull off either an upset or something. In this next 3 games, they're right there for me. All 3 games are pick'ems for me. I think they'll win 2 of those games. I have Seattle at the 3. At the 4, it gets tough. At the 4, it gets tough. You can give me the Lions at the 4. And then at the 5, I like the Cowboys, and the 6, I like the Packers. For me, I don't. The Cowboys and the Packers, don't like their chances. I like the Cowboys' chances a little more because the Aaron Rodgers uncertainty. That's why I picked the way I picked. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the knowledge I just gave you. Some huge stats I gave you. Just take these things into consideration when we're talking about NFC contenders, and then of course we'll go back and talk about AFC contenders in a couple of days, or soon. I don't know when. We may wait till next week. We're gonna try to release one of these every week if possible, if there's time. This is kind of a back burner type thing I do. I like doing this. I thought this was pretty cool. I will be doing it again, or at least try to do it again. I don't make any promises, of course, but I'm gonna really try to do this again. Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Leave some feedback, whatever. I accept any. If you, I know. Okay, so let me clear this up. Do not tell me that something's uneven. I understand. I'm not a designer, so I don't do this perfectly. I just put it together. If it looks nice, I put it up there, and that's that. I mean, I don't need this perfectly right. It just needs to present the stats and what I needed to present. Like I said, I will be doing this with the AFC. I'm pretty sure, of course. If you want, I'm 80% sure I'm gonna do it. So, I'll always leave that side 20% there because you never know. But I want to do this again. I really do. Thank you for joining, listening, blah blah blah, whatever you do. Hope you liked it. Give some feedback. Have a wonderful day. And also listen to the Enzo podcast this Friday. Eric, I, and probably John, and maybe another guest will debate Cleveland Packers. I don't call it debating. Sometimes we debate, sometimes we don't, but we're going to talk about these games. We're going to talk about all the big games. We're going to talk about Falcons, Saints, and more. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.